Hi everyone, let me tell you something right now, this moment, right here, right now, this will change your life forever. You see, people think change comes from the outside. They think it's about money or fame or somebody showing up with a miracle. Now, let me break it down for you. Let me tell you something right now. If you want your life to change, I mean really change, the kind of change that wakes you up with fire in your chest and peace in your spirit, then you're gonna have to do one thing: jump. Yeah, that's right. Jump. Now I know what you're thinking, but I got bills. I got responsibilities. I got a job. I got people depending on me. I can't just jump. That's exactly why you stuck. That's why you feel like there's more inside you, but you don't know how to get to it. Because deep down, you're waiting for permission. You're waiting for the perfect time. You're waiting for the stars to align, for everybody to clap for you before you even take the first step. But life don't work like that. See, jumping ain't about being reckless. It's about being faithful. It's about knowing that the gift you got inside you, yes, it's not supposed to sit on a shelf while you play it safe. That thing God gave you, it was meant to be used, meant to be stretched, meant to go out into the world and make room for you. But that can't happen until you take the leap. When you jump, I ain't gonna lie to you. It ain't gonna be easy. You gonna hit some rocks on the way down. That parachute you hoping for, it might not open right away. You might be free falling for a while. You might get bruised. People might talk. Folks might laugh. You might even cry some nights wondering if you made the right decision. But let me ask you this, what's the alternative? You gone stay on the cliff your whole life, watching everybody else take flight. You gone let fear keep you grounded while your spirit begs for air. That ain't living, that's surviving. And let me tell you, you weren't created just to survive, you were built to soar. Everybody's got that moment, that edge, that place where everything in you is saying, you're meant for more, but the fear is loud. That's where the fight is. That's where the enemy starts talking real loud, reminding you of every failure, every rejection, every insecurity. But listen to me, fear is a liar. It shows up dressed like logic, disguised as caution, but its only job is to keep you stuck. You don't need 1,000 people to believe in you. You just need one person you. You need to look in the mirror and say, I got something to give. I got something worth fighting for. I'm not gonna die with this dream still inside me. Let me break this down. That dream you keep pushing to the back of your mind, that thing you think about when it's quiet, that gift that keeps tapping on your heart, that ain't random. That's purpose. That's calling. That's your assignment trying to get your attention. And you keep telling it, not now, maybe later, when I'm ready. But what if ready never comes? What if later turns into never? What if the window that's open right now slowly starts closing because you were too scared to climb through it? People always say, what if I fall? But baby, what if you fly? What if that jump is the very thing that unlocks a version of you you've never seen before? What if you're one decision away from walking into the life you've been praying for? You can't see the net until you jump. That's how faith works. You don't get the blueprint before you build. You move first, then the path lights up. That's why so many folks stay stuck. They want to see the whole staircase, but life only gives you the next step. And the next step comes when you trust. You might not have all the money. You might not have the connections. You might not even feel qualified. But if God gave you the vision, He already worked out the provision. He's just waiting on you to move. Stop waiting for somebody to come rescue you. Stop waiting for folks to cheer for you. Stop looking for validation from people who don't even believe in themselves. This is your life. This is your moment. And you don't need perfect conditions. You need courage. The thing about jumping is this: you only regret not doing it. Nobody ever jumps and says, I wish I stayed on the cliff. Because once you jump, once you taste freedom, once you realize the world didn't end and your gift actually works, your whole mindset shifts. You start walking different, talking different, expecting more. Because now you know what you're capable of. I jumped with nothing but a dream, no guarantees, no safety net. But I trusted that if I moved, heaven would move with me. And guess what? It did. Not all at once, not without tears, but step by step, doors opened. Not because I was lucky, but because I was obedient. So if you're sitting on the edge right now, wondering if you should go for it, wondering if you got what it takes, let me save you some time. You do. Everything you need is already in you. God don't make mistakes, and he didn't put that dream in your heart for no reason. The question is, are you bold enough to believe it? Brave enough to move? Willing enough to jump? Even when you're scared, because that jump, that moment, that decision. Now let me talk to you about something that's going to mess you up in a good way. Something that's already inside you. But maybe you've been overlooking it. Maybe you've been downplaying it. Or maybe the world just made you forget it was even there. And that's your gift. Yeah, your gift. That thing you do better than anybody else. The thing that feels natural to you. The thing that when you do it, time just disappears. See, we all got one. Every single one of us. I ain't talking about talent. Talent is what you're good at. But your gift, that's what you were born with. You didn't go to school for it. You didn't train for it. It was put in you by God himself before you ever took your first breath. That's why you can't ignore it. That's why no matter how many jobs you take or paths you try, there's always that little voice inside whispering, this ain't it. You know what you really supposed to be doing. But here's what happens. Life gets loud, real loud. Bills, family, expectations, fear. And that little whisper from your gift, it gets drowned out. You start doing what you think you're supposed to do instead of what you were created to do. But let me tell you, your gift don't leave. It don't disappear. It waits. It sits in the corner like, whenever you're ready, I'm here. And it'll keep waiting until you give it permission to speak again. You ever wonder why some people with less education, less opportunity, less connections, they still make it big? They out here winning, living life on their terms, while you working overtime just to feel like you're moving an inch. It's not because they're lucky. It's not because they know some secret. It's because they found their gift and they started walking in it. Your gift will make room for you. That means when you lean into what you were born to do, the world has no choice but to open up. People will start calling you. Opportunities will start showing up. Doors that were always locked, suddenly they crack open. And it's not because you forced it. It's because you aligned yourself with purpose. You finally tapped into the one thing the world can't duplicate. You. Let me give you an example. You ever meet somebody who can just listen and make people feel better? That's a gift. Somebody who can turn a blank piece of paper into a masterpiece. That's a gift. Somebody who can take broken people and speak life back into them. That's a gift. But see, too many people ignore it because it don't look flashy. Because it don't come with a job title or a salary right away. But let me tell you, your gift ain't supposed to look like anybody else's. It's supposed to look like you. We live in a world that praises fame and followers. But your gift might not be popular. Your gift might be quiet, humble, behind the scenes. That don't mean it ain't powerful. The enemy's biggest weapon is distraction. He wants you to chase everything except what you were called to do. So you spend years in jobs you hate, relationships that drain you, environments that shrink you, all while your gift is sitting there like, let me out, just try me. And here's the truth. The moment you start using your gift, even just a little, your life will start to change. Not overnight. I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you. It's not a magic trick, but it's like lighting a fire. It starts small, just a spark, but it grows. One day you wake up and realize this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I'm supposed to be. And when you step into that space, you walk different. You speak different. You stop begging people to see you because now you see yourself. You stop settling for crumbs because you know you bring the whole table. That's what your gift does. It reminds you of your value. But here's the catch, and listen close now. Your gift only works if you work it. It don't matter how talented you are if you never use it. God gave you the seed, but you gotta plant it. You gotta water it. You gotta protect it from negativity and self-doubt. You can't keep burying your gift under excuses and fear and expect it to grow. Some of y'all are sitting on $1 million ideas, but you won't even take the first step. You talk yourself out of it before anybody else even gets a chance. I'm not good enough. Nobody's gone. Listen to me. What if I fail? What if you don't? What if you succeed beyond anything you ever imagined? What if the thing you're scared to start is the thing that's going to bless your entire family for generations? And let me tell you something else. You don't need everybody to understand your gift. Some people ain't gonna get it. That's okay. They weren't supposed to. Your gift wasn't a conference call. It was a private conversation between you and God. So stop waiting for confirmation from people who don't even know your calling. You've been validated already. The fact that you woke up this morning, that's proof you still got work to do. Your gift is your lane. Your gift is your weapon. Your gift is your ticket out of average. And the beautiful part is you don't have to compete with anybody when you operate in your gift. There's no traffic in your lane. You just stay focused, stay faithful, and keep showing up. Keep getting better. Keep trusting that if you use what God gave you, He will open doors no man can close. You don't have to chase success. You don't have to force it. All you gotta do is show up with your gift in your hands and a heart ready to serve. That's how you win. That's how you rise. That's how you change your life forever. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you sat around saying, I'm just waiting for the right time? Think about that. I'll start the business when things settle down. I'll go back to school when I got more money. I'll chase my dream when I feel ready. Man, let me tell you something. That perfect time you waiting on, it don't exist. It ain't coming. And if you keep waiting for it, you gonna wake up one day and realize the window closed while you were still waiting on it to slide open all the way. See, life don't hand you a blueprint with every light green and every duck in a row before you move. That's not how this works. Life says, you want this. You gonna have to take a step without seeing the staircase. You got to move in faith, not in comfort. And that's hard. I get it. But that's the test. That's the real challenge. Can you act even when it ain't perfect? People think success is about being lucky or being at the right place at the right time. Nah. Success is about moving. When everything inside you says, wait, it's about trusting that even if the timing ain't perfect, you serve a God who is. You can't control the clock, but you can control the decision. You can decide to go. You can decide to start. You can decide to believe. Now I've met so many folks with incredible potential, talented people, people with good hearts, smart minds, big ideas, but they paralyzed by the thought of not being ready. They want guarantees before they even begin. Let me tell you, there are no guarantees. The only promise you got is that nothing will change if you do nothing. You keep waiting for fear to disappear before you take action. Let me tell you something. Fear don't go away. It learns how to whisper instead of shout, but it's always hanging around. The only way you shrink fear is by doing the very thing it's trying to stop you from doing. You think the people you admire had it all figured out before they started. They didn't. They were scared too. They were broke too. They had kids, rent, doubts, anxiety, but they still moved. They didn't wait for clarity. They created clarity by taking the next right step. See, motion is what brings momentum, and momentum brings miracles. But you never get there if you stay stuck in the planning stage forever. Ain't nothing wrong with planning, but at some point, you gotta move from vision to action. You gotta go from thinking about it to doing something about it. You ever drive somewhere at night with your headlights on? You can only see a few feet ahead, right? But as long as you keep driving, you'll eventually reach your destination. Life's the same way. You ain't gonna see the whole road. But if you stay where you are, afraid to move because you can't see the end, then you stuck forever. You say you're waiting on a sign. You are the sign. You got breath in your lungs, vision in your mind, and a dream that won't let you sleep. That's the sign. That's the confirmation. That's the green light you've been asking for. Let me tell you something else. The more you wait, the heavier the dream gets. Dreams were made to be lived, not carried. If you carry it too long, it starts to feel like a burden instead of a blessing. That's why some of y'all are tired, frustrated, irritated, and you don't even know why. It's because your soul is tired of waiting. It's trying to birth something and you keep delaying the labor. You got to get to a point where your desire to move is stronger than your fear of falling. You might not have the money, but you got the idea. You might not have all the support, but you got the courage. You might not know how it's all gonna work out, but you got the heart to start. And baby, that's enough. That's all you need. Ain't nobody that ever made history did it from a place of comfort. Every person who changed the world did it before the conditions were ideal. They did it in the middle of chaos. They did it while people laughed. They did it while other folks doubted. But they moved anyway. Let me give you this truth. Success respects urgency. When you move like it matters, the world responds. But if you sit around waiting for every duck to line up, life gonna move right past you. Opportunities don't wait for you to get ready. They show up and they knock, and if you ain't bold enough to open the door, they move to the next house. And don't let perfectionism trick you either. That need to make it perfect before you show the world. That's just fear dressed in a suit. You think if it's not flawless, it's not worthy. But that's a lie. Done is better than perfect. Started is better than stuck. Because even if you fail, at least you know you try. At least you learn. At least you grow. So many folks miss their moment because they were waiting for everything to feel right. Listen, feelings lie. Faith moves. Faith says, I'm scared, but I'm going anyway. Faith says, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I can't stay here. Faith says, this might not be perfect, but it's necessary. I'm telling you right now, you got what it takes. You're more prepared than you think. You're more capable than you've ever been told. And the time is not later. It's not next year. It's not when the money comes in. The time is now. Let me break something down that most people overlook, because this right here is where the shift happens. You want to change your life forever. Then you got to change what you allow into your mind every single day. I'm talking about your thoughts, your inner dialogue, that little voice that's always running in the background, commenting on your life like it's got a mic and a stage. That voice is powerful. And if you don't learn how to control it, it will control you. See, your mind don't know the difference between what's real and what's repeated. Let that sink in for a second. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, that you'll never make it, that you're too old, too broken, too late, your mind don't challenge it. It accepts it. It starts building your reality around that belief like it's gospel truth. And then what happens? You walk through life carrying a lie on your back like a badge of honor. But the opposite is true too. If you start feeding your mind something different, if you start speaking life instead of death, power instead of pity, purpose instead of problems, then your world starts to shift, because your thoughts, they shape your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. That's the chain reaction. It all starts up top. So if you want to change your life, you got to start by changing your thinking. Now I know what some folks are thinking. I can't help how I think. It's just the way I am. No, it's the way you've been trained. You've been rehearsing doubt, rehearsing fear, rehearsing pain, and anything you rehearse long enough, you start to believe. But guess what? You can unlearn that. You can reprogram your mind like a computer. It just takes intention. You got to be deliberate about what you let in. You wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do? You scroll social media, new noise. You let the world start talking to you before you've had a chance to speak to yourself. You let other people's lives and highlight reels shape how you feel about your own. And then you wonder why you feel behind, why you feel stuck, why you feel like everybody else is winning but you. But if you woke up and spoke life over yourself, if you took even 5 minutes to say, I'm worthy, I'm chosen, I'm powerful, I'm equipped, I've got what it takes. Today I move in purpose. Today I grow. Today I win. You'd walk different. You'd stop trying to fit in rooms you were born to stand out in. You'd stop seeking validation from people who don't even believe in themselves. Your mind is a garden. You either plant seeds or you let weeds grow. And weeds don't need permission. They show up quick. Negativity, jealousy, anxiety, comparison. But if you don't pull them out, they'll take over. You gotta be the gardener of your own life. You gotta choose what grows. You ever notice how one negative thought can ruin your whole day? Somebody says something to you sideways. You see something online that messes with your confidence. And all of a sudden, your mood shifts, your posture slumps, your decisions change. That's how much power your thoughts got. But now imagine if you flip that. Imagine one positive thought, one strong affirmation, one word of encouragement from yourself to yourself. That can fuel you for the whole day too. And don't wait on nobody else to give you that. Don't wait for applause to believe you're worthy. Don't wait for somebody else to speak life into you. Learn how to do it yourself. Learn how to talk to yourself like you'd talk to someone you love. You wouldn't call them dumb. You wouldn't tell them they're never gonna make it. So why are you doing it to yourself? Let me tell you what changed my life. I started talking different. When I caught myself saying, I can't, I stopped and said, why not? When I felt fear creeping in, I told myself, we've done hard things before. We'll do this too. You got to become your own coach, not your own critic. You can't afford to be the person tearing yourself down when you already got a world trying to do that for you. Some of y'all have dreams so big, they scare you. That's good. Dreams should scare you a little. That's how you know it's bigger than you. But if you let fear drive the car, you'll never even leave the driveway. You'll sit parked in potential, looking out the window at all the things you could have done, should have done, would have done, if only your mind had been on your side. You gotta guard your thoughts like your life depends on it, because it does. Everything starts up here. You'll never live above the level of your thinking. If you think small, you'll act small. If you believe you're not worthy, you'll accept whatever comes your way, even if it's less than what you deserve. But when you start thinking different, when you start thinking bigger, bolder, stronger, you start walking into rooms with your head high, not asking for permission to exist. You get to decide the narrative. You get to rewrite the script. You ain't stuck. You're just one thought away from a breakthrough. One decision away from a shift, one change in mindset away from a whole new life. And that change, it starts right here, right now. Not tomorrow, not next month, now. Let me tell you something real important, something most people never fully understand. You become who you surround yourself with. That's not just a catchy phrase, that's a life principle. You hang around 5 broke people, you'll be the 6th. You hang around 5 unmotivated, negative folks. Guess what? You're gonna start sounding just like them. It rubs off on you. Their energy, their mindset, their habits, like it or not, it creeps into your world. See, people are either fueling your fire or putting water on it. Ain't no in between. You gotta ask yourself, who's in my circle? Are they pushing me forward or pulling me back? Are they challenging me, or are they comfortable with me staying average? You can't grow if you're surrounded by folks who are satisfied just surviving. You can't evolve in an environment that doesn't believe in elevation. If your circle doesn't inspire you, then it ain't a circle, it's a cage. I'm talking about people who challenge you to level up. People who remind you of your greatness when you forget. People who don't let you sit in pity too long. The kind of people that won't let you settle for mediocre when they know you were built for more. You need those voices. You need people in your life who are louder than your doubt. If everybody around you is just co-signing your comfort, you're in the wrong room. Now I know some of y'all got history with folks. You say, but I've known them since high school, or we go way back, or that's my cousin, my best friend, my ride or die. Look, I ain't telling you to hate nobody. I ain't telling you to cut people off with malice. But what I am saying is that growth requires space, and sometimes you gotta love people from a distance. If their energy is draining you, if every time you talk to them, it feels like they dumping their baggage on you, if they ain't got nothing positive to say and every dream you share gets met with doubt, then it's time to reevaluate the access you give them. You don't need a crowd. You need alignment. A small circle of purpose driven people beats a big room full of empty connections any day. You want to know why your progress is slow? Check your circle. You want to know why your vision feels foggy? Check the people speaking into your life. Sometimes it ain't your dream that's broken. It's your environment. And listen, some folks are only around you because they like the version of you that doesn't grow. That's deep. Think about it. They liked you better when you didn't challenge their comfort, when you had time to gossip, complain, sit around doing nothing. But the moment you start changing, the moment you start saying, nah, I can't come out, I'm working on something, they say you've changed, and they're right, you have changed. That's the point. That's the goal. You got to get bold about protecting your peace, your energy, and your vision. If they don't feed it, they don't need access to it. Some folks only show up to eat off your plate, but would never help you cook the meal. That's not partnership. That's parasitic. And you can't carry weight and expect to run at full speed. Now, I know this is tough because sometimes it's lonely. When you leave behind the crowd you grew up with, you might go through a season where it feels like it's just you. But let me tell you what happens in that season. You find you. You rediscover your own voice without all the noise. You develop clarity. And then, over time, you attract the right people. People who match your focus. People who see your value without you having to perform. People who show up with love, not competition. That's your tribe. And when you find those people, man, it's powerful. Conversations go from who said what to how we building this, from did you hear about them to how can we become better. You start feeling energized after talks instead of drained. You start feeling safe to dream big again because you ain't got to shrink to make somebody else comfortable. Your circle should be your battery pack, not your anchor. If you gotta dumb down your goals to stay connected, then you already disconnected from your destiny. You were not created to stay stuck in circles that don't celebrate you, don't push you, and don't grow with you. Stop begging people to understand your vision when they never had the capacity to see it in the first place. Let people walk away if they need to. Let folks misunderstand you. You don't owe anybody your purpose. Your only responsibility is to protect it, nurture it, and align with those who speak life into it. And if that means walking alone for a season, walk boldly. Because the right people will find you when you're walking in the right direction. So I need you to take a hard look at who's got access to your time, your energy, and your mind. Ask yourself, are they helping me grow or keeping me stuck? And if the answer ain't clear, then that is the answer. Because when you finally start surrounding yourself with the right energy, the right voices, the right environments, everything starts shifting. You start thinking bigger. You start walking stronger. You stop questioning if you're enough because you're surrounded by people who remind you that you are. Sometimes the greatest transformation doesn't happen from adding more. It comes from subtracting what no longer serves you. Let me tell you something that don't get talked about enough. You gotta take responsibility for your life, not the kind that's on paper. Not the surface level stuff where you say, yeah, I know I should do better. I'm talking about deep down, no excuses. Look in the mirror kind of responsibility. That's where real change starts. Because as long as you're pointing the finger, blaming the job, the childhood, the economy, your ex, your boss, your parents, whatever, you are giving away your power. Every time you make someone or something else the reason you're not where you want to be, you're basically saying, they control my destiny, not me. See, life is gonna hit you. That's guaranteed. You can be the best person in the room and still get knocked down. You can do everything right and still get overlooked, hurt, betrayed, fired, rejected. That's life. But hear me on this. It ain't what happens to you that defines you. It's what you do about it. Life don't owe you anything. And once you stop expecting fairness from a world that was never promised to be fair, you stop being surprised by the setbacks and you start getting focused on your comebacks. The day you stop waiting for someone to rescue you, that's the day your life starts changing. Because nobody is coming. Not your parents, not your partner, not your mentor, not your boss. Nobody. You are it. You are the answer. You are the solution. And the moment you embrace that, the game changes. You stop playing victim and start playing victor. Now I get it. Some folks had it harder than others. Some people came into this world with pain already waiting for them. I'm not dismissing that. I'm saying it's real. But I'm also saying you still get to choose. You get to choose what story you tell yourself about your past. You get to choose whether you let it be a chain or a chisel. You either let it break you or you let it build you. That part is yours. You ever notice how some people go through hell and come out stronger, wiser, better? And others go through the same thing and get stuck for years, angry, bitter, full of blame. The difference ain't in the pain, it's in the perspective. One person said, "This happened to me, but I ain't staying here." The other one said, "This happened to me, so now I got a reason to stay down." One took responsibility, the other took comfort in blame. You want freedom. Take ownership. Every part of your life, the good, the bad, the ugly. Say, yeah, I did that. I stayed too long. I didn't speak up. I didn't give my best. I avoided the hard conversations. I gave up too quick. That was on me. That kind of honesty, that's power. That kind of ownership, that's where you take your life back. And it's not about beating yourself up. It's about taking control. Because once you own it, you can fix it. You can't change what you won't confront. You can't heal what you won't admit. But when you face it, man, that's when the real work begins. That's when you stop running from your reflection and start rebuilding from the inside out. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting till you got it all figured out. That moment ain't coming. The only perfect moment is the one you choose to move. And that choice, that's on you. You ain't stuck. You're just waiting on permission that you already have. You're waiting on a sign, and I'm telling you this is it. Look, I've seen people come from nothing, less than nothing, and build a whole new life, a whole new legacy, just because they stopped saying, I can't, and started saying, I will. Not if I get lucky, not if someone helps me, not if the timing is right. Just, I will. That's it. Pure decision, determination, direction. And they didn't need applause. They didn't need agreement. They didn't need clarity all the time. They just moved step by step, day by day. That's ownership. That's responsibility. You can't outsource discipline. You can't hire somebody to build your dream for you. You can't wish your way into greatness. You got to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Especially then, that's what separates the people who change their lives from the people who just keep talking about it. One group waits for motivation. The other group builds momentum. So let me ask you, what are you waiting on? The green light, somebody's approval, the right season. The truth is, you already got what you need. You got breath in your lungs, a mind that can think, a heart that still beats, and a God that ain't done with you yet. That's more than enough. Now it's on you to use it. Your life is a product of your choices, not your circumstances, not your excuses, not your pain, your choices. You get to write the next chapter. You get to decide how this story goes from here. Are you going to keep letting your past dictate your future? Or are you finally going to take the pen back and write something worth living? This ain't about perfection. It's about direction. One step in the right direction every day. That's what builds a new life. You just got to take the step. And then the next one. And then the next one. You keep showing up. Keep taking responsibility. Keep pushing forward, even when nobody's watching. That's how real change happens. When you take full ownership of your life, something powerful happens. You realize you never needed to be rescued. You just needed to remember who you are.